Hi, my name is Ayo. Fun fact about my name, it's a Nigerian name and it means joy. A little bit about who I am an international speaker, I'm an author, I'm an educator, content creator, and a self-taught Spanish speaker. And I am very, very passionate about working with girls and young women. Being able to serve others and help others and empower others, because there's just so much inside of each and every one of us. And I think it's amazing the fact that I get to work with people in order for, people to realize that actually it was already inside of me, and just that process of bringing it out. I just love it. I think it's amazing. All of us are called here for a purpose and to do something greater and to do something that's of service to others and to make other people's lives better. So that was basically my why. So how? Made the decision. Why? Because I just wanted to be of service to other people. Interestingly, I wasn't the best with languages in school. So I did French in school and I failed horrendously, but it wasn't until years later after school that I was like, oh my goodness, I wish I paid more attention in language classes, because it would have been amazing. But to answer the question, I did the language subjects, French, but then I didn't pay attention. So my native language is English. My second language is Yoruba, which is a Nigerian language. And my third language is Español. Hola a todos, me llamo Ayo y habla español muy bien. So I started learning, I've been speaking English from birth. And when I was a little girl, my dad would actually teach my siblings and I our native language, which was Yoruba. So that's how I started learning. We literally would have lessons after school, which at the time I absolutely hated. And then I started learning Spanish in 2016. And my reason for learning Spanish was because I discovered that it was the second to third most spoken language in the world. And I thought to myself, hold on a second, you mean to tell me that learning the second to third most spoken language in the world means I can have opportunities available to me that wouldn't be available to me if I didn't know the language? And I thought, okay, yeah, I'll take that. And just to make it really practical, some of these opportunities were, being able to travel, with the work I do with really encouraging, empowering and inspiring others. I thought, hey, if I can speak the second to third most spoken language in the world, that means I'd be able to communicate with other people. So those are some of the reasons as to why I started learning Spanish in particular. And it's just been an incredible journey. I would say one of my favorite things is being able to communicate or comunicar con mucha gente en el mundo. To be able to communicate with other people is such an amazing gift. And I would say that's just something I love about it, because everyone's native language is dear to them in their own way. So I would say just being able to have a connection with someone or a group of people that I wouldn't have originally been able to had I not been able to communicate with them in their mother tongue. For me, that's just so beautiful. And by now you can probably tell that I love people. I love talking. Yes, that is me and I love it. So I'm going to paint a picture for you right now. Imagine waking up one morning and you're literally just, getting on with your day. And you receive a message from someone who you are very close to, and he says to you, I'm gonna FaceTime you at this time, make sure you pick up. So I say, okay. So I'm just there in my PJs, with my headscarf on, with my hair looking kind of rough, just sitting down in my home office. He FaceTimes me and I say, hi, what's going on? How are you? Because we're friends, we're close, right? And he says to you, the school is looking for a speaker somewhere in a country called El Salvador. And I'd like you to accompany me on this trip. Flights paid for, hotel paid for, clothes paid for. You don't have to pay a penny. Just imagine that, okay? That was my story. That is a real life story of one of the opportunities that came for me from learning a second language? Why did he choose me to go on the trip with him and speak to a bunch of students in a whole new country that I didn't even know before he told me about it? Why did that happen? Because I made the commitment to learn a language. I stuck through even when opportunities weren't coming through. But all I was holding on to was the fact that it's the second to third most spoken language in the world, and it's going to get me somewhere, and it's going to open doors for me in some way, shape or form. And that's just one example. And that experience, honestly, changed my life. It opened up a whole new book of opportunities for me. So yeah. So at the beginning, I mentioned that I didn't actually pay attention at all to languages in school. So I can't really answer that question directly. However, if I was to answer the question from the standpoint of what could learning a language in school have, like, what could it have done for me? I would say that school is really, really amazing with, teaching you the grammar rules and, how things should be. So I think in school, when you have that, exposure to knowing the structure of the language, it's amazing, because then outside of school, you then have the opportunity to get practical experience. So what I'm doing right now is basically what you're doing in school. I have an online course which teaches me the structure of the language, which teaches me the rules of the language, the conjugations, those things that we all hate, right? And all of that stuff. But then on the side, what I have is a lesson tutor. So, 3 times a week, we tend to have conversations. And, if there are things that I don't understand in the course that I'm doing, I would then ask her. But you have the opportunity right now being in school because you have your teachers to ask for help and stuff. But the reality is teachers are really busy, so they may not be able to help you on a one-on-one basis. But then that's where maybe personal lessons outside of the class would help, or maybe just, being on social media and things that you would normally do in English, maybe you would read it out loud in Spanish or in the language that you're learning, just to get that real, practical practice to it. Because one thing that I'm learning is that language is a very practical thing and it needs to be practiced. So, for example, many of us know someone, or maybe we are that person ourselves, who knows all the rules in our minds and stuff. But then the moment it comes to, speaking the language, we're like, how do I even say my name? I don't really know. Why? Because theory is different to practice. The theory of a thing is very different to the practical. So that's basically how I would paint it. So if I was in school, I would be taking advantage of all of those grammar rules, grammar classes, because they definitely do come in hand. The biggest obstacle is not being able to speak fluently, or not being able to be perfect with not making any mistakes. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I'm realizing now, being about almost 5 years into the journey, that perfection doesn't actually exist. So I would say my biggest obstacle was sort of like my mindset towards learning the language, because I had given myself this goal of, I just want to be fluent in the language. But I hadn't actually defined what fluency was. And fluency, essentially what I'm realizing now, is actually not necessarily the complete goal. I mean, now I look at it more like being able to communicate. So the reason why I continue to push with my personal language learning journey is I want to be able to teach in Spanish. I want to be able to speak at conferences all over the world in Spanish. I want to be able to dream in Spanish. But why is this? Because ultimately my end goal is to empower people, to inspire people, to teach people. So it just so happens that because of my end goal, and Spanish is just a vehicle to get me to that end goal, being fluent and being able to communicate with, a high level of proficiency is just something that I need. So I guess to take it back to, what I was saying, the biggest obstacle was me not defining what that fluency looked like. So when I was like 2 years into the learning journey, I'm like, why can't I just have a whole conversation in Spanish? Why am I still making mistakes? And I was really, really hard on myself. So I would say my mindset was the biggest obstacle, but I'm definitely jumping over that hurdle. And I'm just like, hey, listen, I'm not going to let my mind, that negative voice in my mind, have the best of me. There is a quote that I now am learning to live by, and I say learning because it is very much a journey for me. And the quote goes like this: Learning another language is not only learning different words for the same things, but learning another way to think about things. And I also learned this in Spanish, and it says, aprender otra lengua no es solo aprender palabras diferentes para las mismas cosas, sino aprender otra manera de pensar sobre las cosas. So this is what I'm learning about languages. In order to learn a new language, you have to be willing to let go of your own. You have to be willing to open up and embrace another way of doing things. Even just thinking about this, I'm getting so excited. I would say what excites me is just the opportunity to do something that I thought I couldn't do. This mind is so powerful, and it can work for us and it can also work against us. So that means if my mind is telling me that I can't do something, but I somehow manage to just adjust my mind to say, actually, mind, I'm not going to listen to the negative part of you. I'm going to listen to the positive side to you, and I'm going to train the negative side of you to fall into line with the positive side. It's like, actually, you then get amazed about the fact that, oh my goodness, you can really do this. So I would say that's what excites me, just, hitting those boundaries. Like now, I made a video on my Instagram maybe 2 months ago, fully in Spanish. Months before that, fully in Spanish. I could have never done that 3 years ago. I would say it has to become a part of your lifestyle. My phone has been in Spanish since 2016. No word of a lie, we are in 2021. That means my phone has been in Spanish for 5 years. Are there some things I don't understand? Absolutely. Do I have to Google Translate sometimes? Absolutely. So there's some things I don't understand, but what it is I'm training my mind. I'm associating words that are on my phone I already know in English to think, hey, what is this in Spanish? So that's the first thing that I would say, is just making it a part of your lifestyle. Think about things that you already like to do, and then just try and incorporate the language into that. So me, for example, I do not like watching the news. So when I first started learning Spanish, I was like, okay, I've seen on the internet that it says you must watch the news in Spanish. But guess what? If Ayo doesn't like to watch the news in English, what on earth makes me think that I'm going to want to watch it in Spanish? It's then a bit forced, and it's not really sustainable. So I would say the best thing is sustainability. Think about what you like to do. If by the end of the year, or maybe the end of the month, end of 2 months, it's not really something that you like to do, then think, is it worth it? So have that think, what do you like to do? What sort of books do you like to read? What sort of games do you like to play? Who do you follow on Instagram? Who do you follow on TikTok? Could you find these similar activities and then literally just put it in the language that you're interested in learning? And I would say those are the best ways that I've found really to sustain the language. This is really big because I think I am a very big dreamer, big thinker type of person. So I'm definitely going to think of it from that perspective. But I would say it's very important, because the reality of the way that the world is going in now is it's very unpredictable. We don't really know what's going to happen tomorrow. We don't really know what jobs are going to be available tomorrow, which means that we can't really do things in the way that we've always done it. And I think something that a lot of us who English is our first language are guilty of, we think that the world literally revolves around us. We have a sense of arrogance. It's like, oh, I speak English, so I don't need to learn that other language. And I was guilty of that for years. Like, maybe we would go on holiday, or maybe we would go to a different part of the world, or maybe even if we haven't been on holiday before and we're still, somewhere here in the UK, we think, oh, well, if someone speaks to me, it's okay. If they don't understand English, then whatever. Or if you go to another language, well, they should be able to speak English. Whereas actually, the world is changing. The skill sets that are gonna be required of us are also changing. So one thing when it comes to languages is, if we start putting in the effort now actually and start learning these language and learning different languages and getting out of our comfort zone and out of our own bubble, we're going to be able to communicate with people in an ever-changing world. And the reality is, We are human beings. We're supposed to connect with each other. We're supposed to help one another. We're supposed to make other people's lives better in some way, shape, or form. And language, because primarily it's a form of communication, it's a communication tool. If you're able to communicate with people, that right there is an absolute gem. So to answer the question, how do I think, languages are going to affect the way, in which we do the world? I just think there's no disadvantage to it. Yes, I mean, it's hard, it's challenging. There are going to be roadblocks. There are going to be times where you want to give up. But if we think about it from a perspective of wanting to be better and just, wanting to make the world a better place, then I definitely think languages are a bonus.